Okay, so it's been a while. Hello there, I'm Anthony and I'm finally back with the video I was planning to do for a long time. And I'm kinda obliged to record it as it will be the biggest recap on this channel so far. And I am obviously talking about the best albums from 2024. And I decided to prepare a list of my 50 favorite albums from the previous year. And for bands who unfortunately didn't make it to my top 50, please don't worry, as the previous year dropped so many great albums, it was pretty difficult for me to choose and pick 50 albums to this list. But trust me, you all guys did lots of great music the previous year, and I'm especially saying it to the bands I was talking about on my reviews. But without prolonging the introduction, let's start. I'll start with a Chinese band whose transcripted name sounds Renhlin Revs and it means clouds, mountains, dreams. And it is very pleasant, atmospheric black metal in terms of Deep Mountains, which also released a great album in 2024. But Renhlin Revs is way more folkish and that's why I liked it more. Next on the list is Reason in Motion by Utopianisti. This release also has some folk elements, this time African folk, but it is avant-garde jazzy rock, and it sounds just awesome. I'm hoping for some gigs in Poland. You didn't expect a rap release so fast, yeah? Because here we have GUS and Third Shift. Very well produced and highly enjoyable rap release, where the strongest part are definitely chill beats. And this guy is in Danny Brown's label, so I guess it couldn't be bad. But we are returning to some folkish vibes, so Ersetu and their newest album Yomi. Great progressive black metal on this album with Japanese folk elements, but it's a band that tells about various cultures on Earth. And their previous album was about Mayan folklore, check it out. And the next one is Beaten to Death and their Sunrise over Rigor Mortis. I wouldn't expect grindcore to sound like this. Let's add some avant-garde and melodies to grindcore release and we simply have something great. Recently I've been jamming to this album pretty intensively. The next release is definitely the most intense out of all here. Dissonant black metal with insanely fast and wild riffs. I'm obviously talking about Swamp Worm's Adytite. You definitely should check this out. Impression comes at the beginning. Here we have Niftar and their Lacus Asphar. Unfortunately underrated but amazing melodic black and death metal. Lots of good things here. The next thing is also black and death metal but dissonant this time. Gardenja and his Mostra del Arte Degenerata. If you know such project as Fiori del Male who is run by the same guy, then you immediately know what to expect here. But this one is way more aggressive. I don't control it, but the next release is also dissonant black and death metal and it's Veilburner. The duality of Decapitation and Wisdom is one of my favorite dissonant black and death metals this year. And kinda unexpected, by the way. It's definitely the best Veilburner's album so far. But let's finally talk about something different, so melodic Blackened Crust. The previous year I discovered such a band, Minualla. And they released an album entitled Agony the previous year, and I was simply charmed by the female clean vocals there. You have to feel atmosphere going together with this vocal, something beautiful. Number 39 and the next album by my beloved Five the Hierophant, Apeiron. Lots of people have got to know Five the Hierophant the previous year and I'm really happy with it. Those guys definitely needed more attention. And they even know me, I was on their 2 gigs. But it's amazing fusion of doom metal with jazz and some blackish atmosphere. Lots of great saxophone solos here. The next release on this list is even more unexpected. Elements, but at the altar of the Horned God. In 2023, Alejo released definitely one of the best albums. But I was disappointed with the fact that some track didn't have that ritual atmosphere I was looking for. But this app fortunately isn't black metal. It is pure ritual occult rock. And he achieved great atmosphere again. Here we go with Papangu's Lampiaore, Brazilian progressive zoo at its finest. Also sometimes with traditional Brazilian folk elements. Definitely worth listening. Next on the list is my Pulse album, by the way. Venomous Echoes and Split Formations and Infinite Mania. Great dissonant black and death metal once again. But here it's time for classic melodic black metal release. In Here's the Void and Scars of Yesterdays. Lots of great different various melodies here. This definitely wouldn't be complete without Master Brute Records hardwares. I like this album definitely more than previous one. Besides its great chiptune with metal elements. I know this list contains lots of folk influenced releases, but Daturas Tracheler but Sur Austru is simply great. This project came to life after Negura Bunget had disbanded. Romanian flutes on this release always make me really excited. Piron this year did us a great surprise with album entitled Exhaust. I like this more than newest Scarcity and it is great piece of technical death metal. But I would say more experimental technical death metal. Just death metal version of Scarcity. Next release is also highly underrated. Copernic and the newest album Create is an operatic black metal beauty. Vocals are definitely the most exciting part of this release. And in my opinion this album is much better than Folter Kammer's latest one. But newest Folter Kammer was also good. But Gold Star will be probably better. Now one of the best Polish albums. Adytite Ascent by Nervous. On my review I thought that bro behind this band created some new kind of avant-garde, because it doesn't sound like normal dissonant black and death metal. It indeed has some elements of those genres, but overall it is something different and it's great. Old school black metal played in a modern way. Achilles and House of the Black Geminis. I guess we don't have to talk about this one so much. This album is great for many reasons. Great production, atmosphere and insane drums. We are still staying with some more popular black metal bands. As the next one here is Oransi Pazuzu's Muntautuja, which not so oddly enough has even less black metal than Mestarin Kinsey, but more psychedelia. And I'm really glad that Oransi Pazuzu went towards such direction. Maybe I like Mestarin Kinsey more because it is more melodic while Muntautuja is more heavy psych, but it is still upper class music. Now I'm thinking why I didn't put this release even higher, but never mind. But I'm thinking about Etheria Conscientias, the Blossoming. Great jazzy black metal that returned after 3 years. And in my opinion it is the best thing they have ever created. Also hoping for some gigs. And now is the most unexpected moment for lots of my viewers probably. But this channel isn't only about metal and I proved it many times. But the next album is Brad by Charlie XCX. It's simply amazing, well produced and highly enjoyable pop release. Honestly, I'm not shocked that this album became so popular in the world. Because this album has everything what great enjoyable release should have. And I must admit that after release of Brad I became huge fan of her music. I digged some of her older albums as well. Anyway, to conclude, Charlie is just great pop artist. Certain atmospheric black metal musician also likes her. You know I'm talking about you, Alex. But let's come back on the Polish ground again. Na pograniczu usiedlenia by Czernina is a great album that mixes black metal with lots of different influences. And in my opinion it is the best Polish album of 2024. Next on the list is Clan of Cymok's newest album Exodus. Pretty classic darkwave, but honestly their newest album is my favorite from their whole discography. Although Creatures are pretty close to Exodus. Now we have Prognan and Sieny nad Balkanum. This album is even better than the one from 2023, because now it's still progressive black metal but with more folk influences. But war landscape here is depicted even better. But I have already listened to Prognan's album which comes in May this year. Thanatopherion and Alienation Manifesto. What to say more? Great black and trash, which basically sounds like black metal version of Ultar. The next thing is pretty strange. Lots of people describe it as industrial black metal, but I can't agree with it. Om Tat Sat Bat Maheshwara is something totally different. It is absolutely heavy, slow and psychedelic industrial, and it took me some time to get into this release, but when I was reading some books, this album was definitely a great option. There aren't any dynamic, faster moments. Next on the list is Petrale, Croatian dissonant avant-garde black metal project which released album entitled The World Down Here the previous year. And generally I wasn't disappointed. You know what to expect with such description. Markov Soroka's ambient album also made it to my top. Great example how to make good music using the similar or even the same sounds in one track. Now it's time for Calestra's Bastion. Beautiful fusion of dream prog, black metal and synthwave, which is even more melodic and more aggressive than the previous album entitled Solaris. Newest JPEG Mafia obviously has to be on this list. This album is more metal biased than Scaring the House, but it has even better and catchier beats. The next one is one of the earliest albums from 2024. Italian Dispersion's Monochrome is a great avant-garde black metal release, which often doesn't sound like metal. It reminds me of folk parts in Wayfarer's music, and it turned out to be extremely addictive for me. Ulux and Harbor Century. Believe me, this album isn't only music, it is also a spectacle. But it is also great avant-garde art rock with lots of different influences and instruments. Australian Neptunian maximalism without so many saxophones, but with different instruments instead. And from every band on this list I would like to see their gig the most. But this list wouldn't exist without new Esok Trillichum's album. And I'm saying it because Esok Trillichum is in my top every year, and this time Astagul put more pressure on acoustic instruments. And he cooked again a masterpiece. Next contender on this list is pretty strong. It is Moisson Livide and Son en Pli Gascon. My French is still terrible, or Gascon to be precise, but it is an amazing combination of power, heavy folk and black metal. But even stronger contender is Defacement and Duality. I have a signed LP somewhere behind me, and I gotta say this is the best pure Disso Death release of 2024. Besides great technical riffs, there are also great ambient spaces, and they build amazing atmosphere on the album. I guess I wouldn't even expect it on Dissonant release. Now it's time for Biesy and Golem. Generally, some time ago I was talking that it was a little difficult for me to get into this album, as I always felt that I liked trans-satanism more. But after I listened to this album a few more times, I thought immediately it was amazing. Great piece of psychedelic experimental black metal. This one is less industrial than trans-satanism. And now there is last place before top 10. Requiem by Laudar. It is avant-garde black metal with some post-hardcore elements, with vibes I absolutely love, so chorus and organs. Amazingly produced and sung release. But the rest of the top will be a little different. I wouldn't be able to put music for every album on this list, because this video would be simply too long, but 10 last ones truly deserve to be fully shown. Let's go! By Catafalque came quickly with even better album than the one from 2023. It is definitely the most important band in my life, the one who got me into avant-garde metal, and they just had to be here. Lots of great things are waiting for you there. And now journey into Norse mythology and the end of the world. Surtalok and Ragnarok. Honestly, this is the best combination of progressive black metal and folk I have ever heard. Also think how amazingly atmosphere is built here. Chorus in some parts and glorious heavy metal entrances. I simply fell in love. admit I wouldn't expect Panzerfaust to be so high on this list. Everything started when I listened to first promo track for the new album. I absolutely loved the vocals and intensity of this release. I'm not very familiar with Panzerfaust's discography except this one, although I have already seen them 2 times, but I definitely should listen to their previous releases based on what this one sounds like. And for this deep, terrifying vocal, it is definitely worth listening. But how about some great neofolk? Paulus did absolutely great job with Underworld. Calm and charming release, great for sleeping for example, which sounds a little like soundtracks to Blasphemous, and I would say it gets even more exciting with every next listen. One of my pals cooked one of the best dissonant blackened death metals the previous year. Nightmare Utopia is an album that provides absolutely wild and juicy riffs, sometimes builds atmosphere with ambient passages, and mixes it all together with some sludge. And memories related to this channel will remain forever, as it was my first review. I didn't control this, but the next is also my pal, but you can't say I'm only putting music of my pals, because I don't. But Paramainomene is just outstanding. Definitely the most innovative album of Liu's project, which puts more avant-garde besides that blackened trash, but still continues groovy and juicy riffs. I knew this album would end up as one of my favorites. I mean on those higher positions, because this is the most non-stereotypical melodic black metal. At the beginning you think it is generic, but later you hear it simply isn't, because it puts lot of different things that aren't connected to melodic black metal naturally, especially church chorus and organs, and acoustics in very characteristic way. The only thing from melodic black metal here are the riffs. Also, this release is definitely lighter than some normal melodic black metals, but I'm recommending this to everyone, it is great. But my favorite guitarist also released an album the previous year. Already this year, but never mind. Dan Johansen plays music which is pretty similar to Yngwie Malmsteen's, but he does it in a more instrumental way, I would say. I would describe what Dan plays as melodic, progressive instrumental metal, as he operates with catchier and slower stuff as well. There are also great diverse synths like in Calestra's music. And I guess this kind of music what Dan plays isn't for everyone. I guess lots of purists would call it just cheesy, but he isn't known in metal society, so they won't say it. Fortunately, GD players, me included, love him. This album is an otherworldly experience. Definitely my favorite dissonant black metal release of the year. So great that I bought myself a hoodie and paid huge money for shipping, but it was definitely worth it. I mean listening to the album and buying a hoodie. I've known Kvadrat since 2021 when Ivan released his first EP, which was also great, and he even gave me a cassette to my order. But the debut album is even wilder and stronger. Brutal dissonant riffs and drum arrangements do their great job. But there is still one album left. Yeah, the winner is... Indeed, Shamash, Maldor chants Old Ocean. After 5 years, they finally came back. Shamash has lots of great albums released, especially Triangle and Contradiction. And I knew that after such comeback that would occur sooner or later, they would be on this top, but I wouldn't expect them to be so high. I mean, I wouldn't expect their comeback to be so great that it would land on the first place. But it landed. This album is the next interpretation of French poetic novel The Maldor Chants, and it is much better than Hermaphrodite. Melodies combined with riffs turned out to be so charming. The atmosphere on the album is even better. Spoken parts add lots of content to this album, and literally everything fits each other perfectly. Simply great. And it totally deserves to be the top 1 of 2024. And this way we finally came to an end. Huge thanks for watching this video and for staying with me the whole previous year. Also sorry for my pretty long absence, but I will tell everything in another video. I have lots of plans for this year, but now it's not the right time to talk about it. And again, thanks for watching this video, and I'm encouraging you to put your favorite albums from 2024 in the comments. See ya pretty soon, I guess.